Hey guys, before we get into this conversation with Ryan Key, I want to provide a little context beforehand because it could be confusing if you're watching the YouTube video or even listening to the podcast in audio form. So, first, while we were conducting this conversation, Ryan's video was off. So, there's going to be references. So, it might be kind of weird if you're watching the YouTube video because we actually are bringing in his video. It took a while to get and it took a while to put together. So I just want to be clear there. Also, we had the opportunity to do this over Ryan's live Twitch stream. So there may be times where you hear me talking to an audience. And that's really just me referencing the live chat. The people watching in real time at that time. So with all that, I just kind of wanted to provide some context because otherwise it could be confusing, especially, like I said, if you're watching the YouTube video and there's a moment there where we're like, hey, we can't see you, but blah, 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 which it might come off weird because obviously Ryan's video is showing on the YouTube version. But again, I just wanted to provide the context, so let's just go ahead and get into that conversation. So here is Unplugged with Ryan Key of Yellowcard.
Glad we finally got to make this happen. I know we tried a little while ago and didn't work out, so
I figured
stoked.
we'd get it straightened out eventually.
Yeah, stoked. So yeah, I'm good to go.
All right, sweet. All right, yeah, Ryan, seriously, thanks for having us do this. I feel like this is, like I said, a great opportunity to be with your fans. You know, your fans are the type of audience that, you know, we talk to week after week. Should I go ahead and do like an intro, like to let
You
them
do whatever
know?
you need to do for the pod. Yeah.
Okay.
Every like most everybody who's here in my Twitch chat knows that, you know, we're doing the interview and I'm hanging with you guys. So
All right. Well,
Yeah,
I'll
they're
just
totally judging you throughout this intro. So just think about that.
Well, I guess I'll end up. Okay, we'll just go in like we normally do. So, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Unplugged with Tyler Winters and John Pierman. I'm Tyler Winters. John Pierman is over there. To give a little overview of the podcast, we run a podcast called Unplugged, formerly the All Punked Up podcast. I don't know if anybody here has heard of us. We've been All Punked Up has been around since 2016. I started that as a music news site that sort of caters to, you know, the emo pop punk scene, that sort of thing. The podcast started in 2020, along with all the other podcasts in the world when the pandemic hit. John and I have since changed it used to go by the All Punked Up podcast, but we've since changed the name to Unplugged because we didn't want to really be pigeonholed with the term punk. And, you know, the podcast has kind of grown. John and I are into other types of music, although we do kind of still hold on to the alternative side of music. But we felt like a new name would allow us to do more with the podcast, have different types of guests on, that sort of thing. So since 2020, we've had a number of awesome guests on the pod. We talk about news from around the scene. We give our hot takes on questions from Reddit. We interview fans from the scene. That's something new that we're doing. So if this sounds like something that you guys would be interested in, that definitely hit us up. I would say John and I, we kind of let it fly on the podcast. We don't really hold back, like our humor, our sarcasm. Well, I would say that we aren't completely PC at all times. So I will say if you do get offended easily from us joking around, maybe our podcast isn't right for you. So full disclosure, but we do it all in fun. Yeah, but
I love it.
But I will say if that does sound interesting, we do encourage you guys to go look us up on your favorite podcast platforms. Unplugged with Tyler Winters and John Pierman. I think you can also type in All Punked Up and it'll still come up. But yeah, so that's pretty much the overview. I also do want to say too, just to give a little backstory behind John and I. So John and I, we've been best friends since like second grade. We're 38 years old now.
First grade. You always say second grade.
Sorry. We started a band in eighth grade. It was the year 2000. It was after we did a talent show. We were acting like we were performing All the Small Things by Blink-182. And we got a huge reception from our friends and family that were there. And for me at that time, I was like, guys, we have the guys that I was doing this with, John and our friend Ryan, different Ryan. I was like, guys, yeah, guys, we got to start a band. This was so fun. So we decided to start a band. We were a band for about 5 years. 2005 is when we broke up. But funny story, we did get a chance to go meet with Drive-Thru Records. So we are from Springfield, Illinois, the Midwest, and we ended up getting a hold of Richard Raines on AIM, AOL Instant Messenger back in the day.
You might want to explain what that is. Yeah.
Yeah. We pitched him our songs on Pure Volume. He checked them out and he's like, hey, you guys should come down. So we figured out a way to get down there. I, the whole time, am thinking, why would he have these guys from the Midwest come all the way to LA to meet him if we're not going to get signed? So I'm like on cloud nine. John, I don't think you had
no, I'm what's called a realist.
But we ended up traveling all the way to LA. We met Richard Raines. We stayed with him. We showed him our songs. We walked on his back. Ultimately, we didn't get signed.
Nope.
So it was a kind of a gut punch at the time. But the band ended shortly after that. And all that to say is ever since that time, even though the band broke up, I've always felt like we've had something to give to the scene, and that's what the All Punked Up brand is. That's what this podcast is. So we're still giving back to the scene. It's still something we still love into our almost age year of 40. So
now to loop Ryan in, our ex-guitar player ended up in a band that Ryan would know called Park.
Oh, yes.
Was also on Lobster Records. So the last iteration of Park, our buddy that played guitar with us, Alex Haycraft, was in that band. And also ended up in the band Just Surrender, who toured with Yellowcard in Japan, I believe. I'm not sure what year that would have been, but
did they?
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that my well into my 40s brain might not recall. I mean, Park. Of course, I remember Park.
Yeah, you remember Park. I feel like
you guys would have played in Springfield quite a few times.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, and you already answered my question. If you walked on his back, and
yes,
and you did. So do you now understand maybe like the dynamic of like going there, like young dudes staying at his house and walking on his back and then not getting signed?
It's making sense,
yeah.
Tyler.
Yeah, because man, I know a lot of people who went through that process throughout my time in this scene, and most of them didn't get signed.
Yeah,
so
it's clear that all he wanted were little feet on his back, and he got them. So,
I mean, how many people were like, "Hey, I'm going to be a chiropractor now," from that. So,
hey,
one dream dashed and another.
John, finding the bright side, dude. You're a glass half full kind of guy, aren't you?
Well, that's what the therapist said to do about it. So that's what I'm trying to do.
I love it, man. I love it,
buddy. So yeah, Ryan, again, thanks for having us on. So we'll go ahead and just get started. But for those of you listening, this is the second time Ryan's been on the podcast. The last time I had to go back and look. Ryan, the last time we had you on was January of 2022. So episode 64, guys, if you want to go back.
I would have been like in my parents' office at their house because my wife and I had just bought our house here in Jacksonville Beach, and we were like in the early days of like ripping out trim and taking floors up for the remodel. Sure. So I had like a makeshift folding table streaming, interview podcast set up for months at my parents' house.
Then and not now,
Yeah,
that's right.
I made it in the very, very wee hours, right before it all right before it's cost more in interest than it does in like 4 or 5 times your house. Crazy.
Yeah.
But anyways, this is not a real estate podcast, is it?
That's true.
Not yet.
But yeah, I remember hanging and doing the pod back in 22. Just kind of, that was an interesting time because it was like there was still a lot of uncertainty ahead.
There was
a lot has happened since then.
Yes, a lot, and I want to get into that. But for anybody listening, if you want like a backstory of Yellowcard or of just Ryan before he joined Yellowcard, he took us through like the wild rise of Yellowcard and then talked about the breakup at the time. I had failed to ask during that time because it was so obvious, at least to me, that the obvious question would be, would you guys ever reunite? But the way you were talking and the backstory behind that breakup, I was like, I think I can tell that there's not going to be a reunion here. So a lot has changed since that time. I do want to talk about the reunion, but I also want to bring up the fact that you're a father now. So that's like the biggest thing and the most
Yeah.
important thing. So
Yeah.
what has that been like for you on top of being in Yellowcard, who seems to be bigger than
Ever.
yeah,
Yeah,
ever.
we're bigger than we've ever been.
Yeah,
It's very
it's
odd. And
nuts.
we can get into that, but it's very
Yeah.
very strange. Yeah, being a dad is amazing. I will say I think the biggest thing for me with as it relates to the band is I've never had a sense of, man, I want to get home when I'm traveling or when I'm touring.
Right.
And it's just the worst now. I every time I have to leave for something, I hate it. I mean, not that I hate being out doing what I'm doing. I this sense of like I have to get back home as fast as I can it's a very new feeling for me.
Totally get
Um,
it.
but I think that that's a good sign,
Yeah, absolutely.
that I'm pretty stoked on being a dad. So, we're having so much fun, man. He's been we got really lucky. We definitely have fallen into the classic trick baby trope where you have a kid and it's just so easy and amazing, and then it like tricks you into having another one. We will not be fooled. We will not be fooled. This is our one go at this, but he's just been amazing, dude. He sleeps through the night. He's like,
that's awesome.
He flew to LA and back the last couple weeks and just was totally fine. He's 4.5 months old. And never went into like any kind of full meltdown mode on the plane.
Did you get all sorts of compliments from the other passengers? Like, all the compliments up.
Well, I tell you, being someone who is a almost 2 million miler on Delta Airlines, and the misconception that I'm that I can afford to just like fly in first class all the time. That's not a thing. It's just that I get upgraded all the time because I fly so much. Being the guy in first class who, when someone comes on with a baby, is like, and now being the guy with the baby, that's an adjustment period you have to go through.
Yep.
Okay. And so I was a proud father, I gotta say, like getting through the flight and like not feeling like we were inconveniencing anyone else,
no
I was really proud of my boy. Like that, I was proud of my boy.
You don't want to blow out 30,000 feet.
No blowouts. No blowouts. It was awesome, dude. First trip, with him, it was awesome. And
they say that's what actually knocked the door out of that Boeing flight was a
baby blowout.
Yeah, blew the door out.
Too soon, bro. I love being a dad, and I can't even fathom how I'm going to handle being gone for 8 weeks this summer.
Yeah, dude, that's going to be tough.
It is going to be really tough.
Because I can imagine. I have 2 kids of my own, 11 and 9. But I do remember, we took my son on a plane ride, and he did absolutely awesome, just like your boy. And right at the end, as it takes once you land, it takes forever to get off. Well, we're all parked there where everybody's standing up, waiting to get their luggage and whatnot. And somebody turns to us and goes, "Your son was just an angel on this flight." And I swear 10 seconds later, he is crying the rest of the way. Everybody can't get off fast enough.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, lady.
Yes.
We got stuck on the tarmac in Atlanta, connecting back home here to Jacksonville, and not stuck, but like it was just taking a while and it was late. The flight out west was early in the morning, so it was a lot easier than the one home because it was like pretty late at night by the time we were getting back. And so they just wouldn't turn the lights off. I was like, "Can you please?" You know what I mean? We're like trying to get him chill. And but I said or mentioned earlier, like he never went to full blown meltdown mode. He just he was fussy and like kind of like fidgety, but like, man, we are podcasting dads. Listen to what are we even talking about?
Yeah.
It's a music podcast, right?
Right.
What kind of diapers you guys use?
Elder emo.
Yeah. It's awesome though. That's the bottom line. It's awesome. We're having so much fun. He's the best, and I can't wait to, just stay on the doing this adventure. It's awesome.
Right, absolutely. And speaking of podcasts, you're still doing Thank the Maker, I see. How's that going for you?
Really good. I have to play hooky all the time because Yellowcard's so busy, which
Mm.
bums me out. But
We won't
we've been
tell
having
him.
a really good time over the last couple months with the Bad Batch, the final season of the Bad Batch. Whenever we have uh, constant new content like that, it's when we're kind of when things are the best for the
Yeah,
podcast because we're
right.
not like searching for topics and content. So it looks like going forward here, we got a lot. We're gonna have a lot to talk about. The end of the Bad Batch, Tales of the Empire, the Acolytes coming up. It's lots of cool stuff. So we're having a blast. We're kind of opening up like new opportunities all the time. We just got asked to do something really cool next year, which I can't unveil yet,
Ugh.
but
Oh, I can
we,
guess.
we might get to be interviewing some like high level security clearance Star Wars people.
Yes.
So we'll see. But it's been really fun. The thing with Thank the Maker is it's just such a it's hanging out with your friends, talking about something you love. And I mean, you guys relate to that doing this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not something that's making me a living. It's not something that I'm doing for money. It's just because I love Star Wars. If you can't
It's
tell.
fun.
And well, you guys actually you can't see me, so you can't. You
No.
literally can't tell. You can't
No,
see the
we
studio.
can't tell.
But
I'm imagining
You're wearing
it,
a
though.
stormtrooper helmet right now, right?
I am.
Yeah. I knew it.
It has a mic mounted inside. That's why I still sound so clear.
I will say that was one of the few cool things about Richard Rain's house was all the Star Wars shit that he had. But
Well, we never went there to walk on his back, so I wouldn't know.
Well,
But that would have
an
definitely
elite
been
club.
a way to like lure me in,
Yeah.
to like
you want to put the suit on, Ryan?
get a little creepy with me,
John, that is so creepy. You want to put the suit on?
It puts
Okay.
on the stormtrooper armor.
He did kept waving his hand in front of my face. Just kind of would do this a lot. I don't know what it was about. But.
You will walk on my back.
I didn't get into Star Wars the last time we talked. You and Bailey, he was the co-host last time. So John's been with the podcast for like over a year and a half, 2 years now?
Year and a half now, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
But you and Bailey nerded out over Star Wars, and I was just kind of sitting there, just kind of taking it in. But since that time, my son, he had gotten into Star Wars, and so I got into Star Wars too because he was watching it, and we binged all the episodes. But one of the coolest things, and I know that you can relate to this, is Disney. Disney's Star Wars area is amazing, and so we went to that. That was a blast. Definitely recommend. Any Star Wars nerd should definitely go check that out. Even if you're not a Star Wars nerd, you should check it out.
Looks fun.
I mean, living 2 hours away from Orlando, it's a regular thing.
Oh
me.
yeah,
we're down there like once a month. My wife and I have annual passes to Disney, so we're down there all the time. And they talk, with your kid, they talk about like make sure you don't wish away the time that you have right now. You know what I mean? Like don't get too pumped about what's ahead. And I'm doing a pretty good job at that. But every time we go to Galaxy's Edge, I'm like, I can't wait to build a lightsaber with this kid.
Right. Yeah. We did all that too.
We'll get there.
But yeah, definitely, dude. Just enjoy your time because this is probably it sounds like you've got it pretty easy, but this is usually the times that are like toughest because you want to be able to do those other things with them, but you just can't. So yeah, but still take it in because now like I got 11 and 9-year-old and my wife and I look back at pictures or something on Facebook pops up an old memory and I'm like, nope. Can't look at it. Can't do it.
Yeah,
not gonna do it.
I love this time, man. I think people that do have a harder time with a newborn. I know it can be really challenging, but we just got so lucky with his temperament that I'm so stoked. I don't want this time to be over. Like he's just now starting to like lean out and reach out for me and stuff when I come in the room, and it's just like. Not that he's going to stop doing that. He's just going to not do it in the sort of like helpless newborn way that he does it now. Right. It's awesome, dude. I was a pretty hard no on kids actually before I met my wife.
So what changed?
I was just getting older and I just felt like I kind of was, I didn't think I was going to meet my wife. I was kind of starting to resign to the idea that I was just kind of going to do it on my own, and I was good with that. And then what changed was meeting my wife. Honestly, I was it was like she was the person that made sense to me to want to start a family with.
Suddenly you had a different idea of the future.
Absolutely. And so I am so glad, so lucky, so happy that she came into my life and had allowed me to shift my mindset on having kids in the first place. And then, she's just the best partner and teammate with this. It's awesome.
That's awesome. So, Ryan, let's go ahead and just jump into this reunion because, like I said, the last time we had you on, there was zero indication that there was going to be a reunion, even possible. Like,
But I knew the whole
possibility.
time.
Did you know the whole
Ah,
time?
Yeah.
Did you know back then?
I knew while I was talking to you that we were playing Riot Fest at least.
Well,
That's all I knew.
For fuck's sake. So if I would have asked then, would you have you wouldn't have
No.
divulged. You couldn't
No.
have. Okay.
I couldn't.
Shit. All right. So walk me through this then, because you guys didn't have like the cleanest breakup. Maybe it wasn't like terrible, but there was a lot of kind of infighting and whatnot, if I remember correctly.
Is it behind the music worthy?
It wasn't like fighting. It was just like complete. I don't know what the right word is. It was just like a disconnect. Like it's just like everyone's unplugged from the band, from each other.
Like the podcast.
We were just exhausted. Like the podcast. Listen to Unplugged.
Yes.
We were just exhausted, dude. We were getting very, very clear diminishing returns on what we were putting in, and we were putting a lot in. We were touring so hard in like 20. So when we came back from our first sort of 2.5 year long, almost 3 year long break, it was great. We put the record out on Hopeless in 2011. People were so excited. The second record on Hopeless really picked up steam, and we did a really great sold out House of Blues tour in 2012. And then it was like an immediate kind of downturn after that. We felt it like slowing down rapidly. And
what was slowing down? Was it the hype or
people's hype? Yeah, the hype.
Okay.
Sure. That's a good word for it. Yeah. People's excitement about what we were doing, about new music, about touring, any of it. But also thrown into trying to stay relevant and keep creating. And in today's climate, even 10 years ago, creating content constantly and release schedules being closer and closer together and all the things that are happening in music now. Throw in with that some of the stuff that was going on in our personal lives, which was really intense, like hospital stays and cancer and deaths in the family. It was all happening sort of all at one time, right after Southern Air, during and after. And that really shifted like our musical sort of direction. I think you go back and listen to Lift a Sail, which was the next record after Southern Air. There's a full 90 degree or 180 degree or whatever turn away from, I think, what people expect to hear from Yellowcard. And that was fully influenced by what was happening in our personal lives. And writing like this hopeful, uplifting, Ocean Avenue-esque summer album again, like Southern Air was. And I love that about that record. I think we really captured some of that original energy and sound of the band with Southern Air, but it just would have been completely phoned in, completely like we were not in a place mentally to write, something that sounded like the Ocean Avenue, from Yellowcard, right?
Not authentic at that time.
So we wrote
Genuine.
this pretty heavy, and I don't mean like heavy music. I mean heavy as far as the weight of like the lyric and the melody and everything. And the songs were all this, kind of mid-tempo 90s alternative, which is, at my core, that's my rock and roll much more than punk or pop punk music is anyways.
Sure.
But it didn't really resonate with fans as much as it resonated with us. And I don't think we all as a band were on the same page about making a record like that. It just started then. Around then, we also at that time we'd left Hopeless Records and signed to Razor and Tie Records. And the reason we did that is because our manager at the time had a friend who was coming into Razor and Tie to completely clean house and revamp and the image of the label and the kind of bands they were signing. They wanted to do some more pop and pop rock type stuff because they had been more of a heavy rock label. And they had this whole radio plan, and Yellowcard's coming back, and we're gonna make a rock record for Razor and Tie that's gonna work at rock radio, And before we even went in the studio, the guy that was gonna sign the band and be the new head of A&R and take us in and A&R the band personally, which is huge. When the head of an A&R department is A&Ring a band personally, that's a big deal. He never even took the job. He ended up leaving, and he sent a really nice message saying, "I hope you guys understand I have to do what's best for my family, and I just got this huge opportunity to go work for." I think he went to work for Disney, in some fashion. And so, anyways, we didn't have that, so that was like, oh, cool. So then we literally were just on this label with no one. We didn't know anyone. No one really cared about the record. It was weird. And And that was the beginning. That was the beginning of, I think, us sort of starting to drift apart creatively, personally. And then the following, the following couple of years touring 14, 15, just, some half full rooms. We're not used to that, and we're gone 9 months, like 9.5 months, both years. We were doing so much international touring. We were playing just every festival everywhere, and it was just it was costing more than we were making to go overseas. And it just really came to a point where it was like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? I personally, I didn't see like breaking up the band coming. I knew things were bad. But a couple of the other guys in the band were really ready to step away and kind of let me know that that was the direction they were going to take, no matter what kind of thing. And so it took me some time to sort of come around and realize that that really was what was best for us at that time. I think I had a lot of kind of pride in like saying, well, we're just quitting and giving up. And really it was time though, and so they were making the right call. It's like, because I think, we put out this kind of image and message that it was like this unified front, that we all agreed on this thing. And when I talk about it now, to go back and say, well, the reality was I wasn't really on board at the beginning. It's not to say that I'm like upset with the other guys for making the decision without me. It's more to say I am stoked that I was able to come to a place of acceptance, because I think they were right in what they wanted to do in the end. And at that time, it was over, dude. I mean, I never, ever, ever thought that we would do anything again. I mean, I was hustling from 2017 until Riot Fest 2022, making my own way. And I thought, I mean, there were times where I thought I was going to get out of music because it just was so hard to sustain anything that wasn't Yellowcard.
What were you considering doing at that time?
I don't know.
Picking up a job at some
I didn't have
corporate...
a plan.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't have a plan for like what I would go do. It was just this kind of lingering fear in my mind that I would have to make that call or figure something out,
Yeah.
And so the fact that we are doing what we're doing now, loads of stuff I can't tell you guys about even now. It's just, it is so wild to me that we recovered in the way that we did. And I owe that all to our team, our manager, Kristen Harris, who started managing the band for the air quotes final tour, because at the time that was it. And we were without a manager late 2015 going into the planning of that tour. So we took interviews with a few different people, and Kristen manages Newfound Glory and Bayside and other bands. And so we knew her, and she came very highly recommended, and she's a legend, and she's just become a family member, a part of the band. She's like a band member. And so I owe her, our booking agent, Corey Christopher Martin. She's been our agent since 2001. We had the same booking agent our entire career. It's a very rare thing in the music business to work with someone for that long. That's not in the band, and to the fans of the band. I mean, that's like the holy trinity of Yellowcard that brought us back to where we are, because clearly people were still there and still excited about the band. And for whatever the reason was, that through the mid 2010s, people sort of lost interest, and, support kind of fell, numbers dropped. It was really obvious that we weren't going to sustain making a living at the level that we wanted to or needed to provide for family. At the time that we decided to break up, Sean had 2 kids already. It was like, it was getting real. Life was getting real. And there was just being gone for the amount of time we were gone, for the amount of money we were making, was certainly not worth it for Sean, at the very least. I know that. I think I can speak for him and say that. Like, he's like, dude, what am I doing? I'm away from my kids for 9 months we're making less money every year. And so coming back to this now, it's like, it doesn't matter why to me. Like, I'm not concerned with like, where were you, fans? Like, it doesn't matter. Everything we went through, the falling out we all kind of had, makes us stronger now. I mean, it really does. Like, there's such a conscious effort in the band to like maintain our relationships and be conscious of everyone's needs and emotions, and not just kind of steamroll each other because we've known each other for 2 decades and know how to push each other's buttons like siblings.
Right.
There's clear moments for me where I'm like, I can feel this sort of like bubbling up lead singer Ryan's about to freak out about something, and I just take a beat and I let that pass, because nothing I could want for the band that is like my opinion, or like I think has to be my way, is important enough to jeopardize the relationships within the band ever again,
Yeah.
and that's my responsibility. Like we all have our own responsibilities, but mine is to not let my reactivity get the best of me like it used to, and make sure that I'm conscious of what everybody else in the room needs from me, and that's not overreacting and not losing my temper and not being so headstrong about one small idea that it ruins the vibe of everything. Those are traits I've had in the past, and I recognize them, and I work on it every day. So I can't believe it, dude. I mean, we mentioned it a little bit ago. We're bigger than we've ever been.
Yeah.
I mean, last summer we were close to 200,000 tickets sold over the course of the year last year. And we've never, ever, ever seen numbers like that in our whole career. Even when Ocean Avenue was, really crushing it at top 40 radio, which is still, I mean, top 40 radio is king, really. I mean, even with streaming, it's still a big deal to have a single there. So back in 2004, it was the only deal. And this tour was bigger, in some cities by 6-7 times than what we did back then.
And let's not forget, MTV was still showing music videos.
Yeah, 100%.
TRL and all that. So that definitely helped.
Yeah, and what's wild is we not only do we not have like some kind of buzzy single right now, we don't have any of that either. We don't have anything.
Yeah.
Like,
why do you think that is, that there's so much buzz? Is it just because like maybe so the hype dwindled down? Do you think maybe it's a thing where, and maybe it happens with other bands too, you just kind of take them for granted for a while, then they leave and you're like, oh shit, we don't have them anymore. And then they come back and then you realize, I don't know, like maybe we just took them for granted. So now that they're back, we're going to hold on to this and we're going to, really go all out. I don't know.
We don't know either. I hope that last part of what you said is true. And I hope people, look, we are not blind to the fact that last year was also this celebrating 20 years of Ocean Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of hype around that, and anniversaries are huge in this scene of music.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of work to do to maintain this level of success in a way that, doesn't rely on Ocean Avenue, because it's going to burn out. You can't, I mean, it's over. The anniversary has passed, So,
yeah.
The decisions we're making right now are, like we're doing a support tour this summer because we don't want to, if Third Eye Blind, which by the way, we're going on tour with Third Eye Blind, which is surreal to me because one of my
I definitely wanted to bring that
all-time favorite bands. When they approached us about doing the tour, it was really, just an amazing opportunity because we weren't going to tour. I mean, we wouldn't have headlined to back to back. One of the things I think we fell prey to back in the mid 2010s was we were touring so much just to maintain some level of income that we were oversaturating, and we were playing too many shows, touring too heavily.
Makes sense.
And when the level of success that we're seeing now is so amazing because it allows us to make more informed decisions that aren't just chasing money, and like trying to maintain this like standard of living for our families and stuff like that. Like I mentioned, it's like we did so well last year. We're so grateful for that because we can kind of step back and say, well, let's not just tour to tour. Let's do things that make sense to sustain this level we're at. So when Third Eye Blind came in and offered us a support tour, it was like, dude, this is amazing because it's not oversaturating with our fan base. It allows us to still go out and have a really successful year, and play these huge venues in front of people that wouldn't probably normally come see our band play. We're speaking of Lift a Sail and those kind of records, the later records we made, because we're going out with like one of the most iconic 90s pop rock bands that, alternative bands of all time. We're going to lean into that and play a lot of music from our more sort of alternative leaning records and songs too. So we're pumped on that because I think after this, I mean, this literally might be the last time we ever get to do something like that, because if we go back to headlining, the year after that, if we're lucky enough to still be touring, we would obviously go back to playing like a just full blown Yellowcard banger set for, fans who are coming to see Yellowcard. So we get to have a little creative fun with the set list this summer, not oversaturate the fan base, and I think it will set us up for success, in the following year. But I don't, as far as what brought everybody out last year, there's a million things that I think most people say all the same, it's not a million, it's literally like five, but everyone says the same five things. It's, well, people have more money now to spend on tickets and stuff because they're older. People are bringing their kids to the shows. The nostalgia of it, like you mentioned, Tyler. But I just, that, when I'm asked this question, none of that computes to what actually happened. Like, yeah, sure, okay, like if we were just selling out those House of Blues shows again, fully, every one of them was just like, boom, gone, I'd be like, wow, check it out, everyone's coming back to see the band again.
Right.
But you're talking about, like, I use San Diego as one of the best examples of the tour last year, because the House of Blues in San Diego is one of the smallest House of Blues in the country. And in 2015, I'm pretty sure we didn't sell that venue out. And I don't even know if we played it on the final tour. Someone in the Twitch chat right now might be able to tell me, but I can't remember if we played there. But in 2015, we didn't sell out the like 1,600 capacity House of Blues in San Diego. Last summer, we played the outdoor stage at Petco Park, and we sold 8,000 tickets. So, like, is every single person that used to come in San Diego bringing 6 kids with them? No, right. They're not. Like, that doesn't. So it's like the metrics that people try to throw out don't necessarily make sense, even though they do make sense. It's like, yeah, it was just too much. The multiples were too high. We were blown away, dude. The tour was like 96% sold out in amphitheaters. We never even played amphitheaters back, like I mentioned, back in the day, when Ocean Avenue was absolutely crushing. We did do some, like we played at Mesa Amphitheater in Arizona once, I think. I'm sure there were a couple of others, but other than being on Warped Tour, we never headlined any of the amphitheater venues really back then. And this summer was all amphitheaters and out, like indoor arenas and stuff. That's rad, man. It was surreal, man. It was surreal.
Also, the other factor too that everybody says too, coming out of the pandemic, we had like 2 years of no concerts or anything of the sort. So it's like people just opened their wallets and, fed Ticketmaster and came out to the shows.
Yes.
So
you got to hope, though, like you said, that that it's a genuine sort of rebirth of the band, and people are not just like, if we put a tour up for sale in 2025, that's not the 20 years of Ocean Avenue tour. Are people going to see that show flyer or whatever and say, I'm just going to go see Yellowcard, like no matter what they play or what they do, you know? And so some of that may hang in the balance as far as new music goes. We don't have any concrete plans as I'm speaking to you. Truly, we don't. As I'm keeping a lot of secrets from you, but we truly don't have a concrete plan for making any new music right now. So if we move forward with that, which I'm sure we will, there we go. You guys heard it here first. Are we going to get out of sort of the cycle we were in the 2010s, where the new music was just very unimportant to people, and I think a lot of bands in this scene can fall victim to that because people just want to relive this moment in time, where we all just surged in the early 2000s. And I get it. Like I said, I still listen to, if I'm listening to music with lyrics, which I very rarely do, but if I do, I'm listening to Radiohead or Nirvana or Third Eye Blind, my 90s band. Like that's my rock, that's my music. So I understand the mentality because I have it myself. So, if we're going to make new music, can we write something, find the right team to get a song out that reignites the fan base around music that, oh, well, I want to go see the band because I want to hear that song live. Sure. We haven't had that in a long time.
So if you were to write a new record, I think I already know the answer based on you being a fan of the 90s and grunge and alternative and all that. How would you want that new record to sound? Would you want to lean more towards Ocean Avenue Lights and sounds, or the more later albums?
I would want to immerse myself in making a record that fans would be excited about.
Okay, good answer.
I'm here in Yellowcard now in a place that I never thought I would be again, to try and sustain this for as long as we possibly can. The minute we feel this thing backsliding again, we're going to make an exit strategy. We're not going to go through these peaks and valleys again. Sure. So as long as we have to ride the wave that we're on right now, I want to make music that is going to keep people excited about the band. I've gotten to write and record so much music that was just for me, Not only in Yellowcard, which the last couple Yellowcard records were very much that, but post Yellowcard, I started making music pretty quickly of my own that lives, no, it doesn't live in the space that Yellowcard lives in whatsoever. It was really a creative departure for me and a place I wanted to go musically on my own. And so I I believe that I can invest.
Are we talking about Jetta here?
Jetta or the William Ryan Key releases I put in the 3 EPs that I released. I think that I can, with Yellowcard, put that hat on and invest myself creatively in making a record that's super fun to make. Will it be like as deeply rooted creatively as making my own music that like I made post Yellowcard? Maybe not, because I'm almost 45 years old, and I am not in. It's not 2003, and I'm not writing songs about leaving home and breaking up with my first girlfriend anymore, which is why that record was so huge,
Yeah.
But can I enjoy the adventure of like trying to tap into that stuff and make just a ripping pop punk record that people are excited to hear? That sounds sick. That sounds fun, and I want like writing my own music. It's not always fun because that shit is dark and it's heavy, and it's the creative process of making that music is it's just different because it's like I'm trying to prove stuff, I think, that I can do it on my own. And it's a really challenging process. Whereas with Yellowcard, especially now more than ever, I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
Yellowcard is supposed to be fun, like we love playing live. We love the high energy nature of our shows. And I think we have a moment in time here to really capture fans, hearts again with music that they're excited to hear from us. And I'm excited to do that for them, because we wouldn't be coming off the back of a tour as successful as last summer without them. And I want to keep doing that. So like, if making music that gets people stoked allows me and the band to keep touring at that level, that's what I want to do.
Right on. And I agree, man. Fun is everything, and it doesn't matter in whatever you do for a job. Like if you're not in a band, just any type of job, if you're not having fun, what's the point?
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, that was
that
was to back full circle to sort of what we just in the beginning of this conversation. That's why we quit.
Yeah.
It just was not fun anymore.
If there's no joy, it's what's the point?
Yep.
Yeah. It was not fun at the end, and it's so fun now. And I mean, I'm like, it's that black and white for me. It's like that basic, like just right now it is so fun. If it starts to be not fun again, we're all, no one's holding that in to themselves anymore. As far as like, I'm not having fun and I'm not going to tell anyone because we are all on the same page of like, if you're feeling something, if this is starting to like not work out or work for you or your family or whatever, let's have a conversation. And so those conversations aren't happening, but when the time comes, if they need to, I feel like it will be a much more mutually agreed upon, level-headed decision to say, okay, what's our exit strategy this time? Because we had an amazing run, and and nobody wants to go back down into the valley we were in 2015.
Sure.
So
yeah, absolutely.
But there's no signs that that's happening anytime soon right now.
You can tell us that. That's one thing you can tell us.
There you go.
All right. So one thing that's probably been fun for you, especially when it comes to music, is you've been able to reimagine some of those old Yellowcard, and newer Yellowcard songs with your recent album with I've never heard of them, and I hope you could shed a little light on them. But with the duo, maybe Hammock, that new album full of reimagined Yellowcard songs, it's great, and it sounds a lot like your work with Jetta, which is more like ambient movie score feel type music. And we talked about that the last time you were on the pod. It kind of has that feel to it, except now you get some lyrics with it. It's Yellowcard. So who is Hammock, and how did this collaboration go down? Did you reach out to them? Like, what happened? Because I, for one, really do love this album. I love reimagined songs.
So Hammock would, I think, classify as post-rock. That would be sort of the genre that they're in. Think like Explosions in the Sky, Mogwai, those types of instrumental post rock bands, right? So because Hammock has a lot of records that are fully ambient, there's no drums, no band feel. It's just really kind of soundscapes, and then they have
Hmm.
a lot of records where they fully jam in that space, in that post rock space. Um, so I got into Explosions in the Sky back in 2005, six, when Friday Night Lights, the film, came out.
Okay.
The film starring Billy Bob Thornton. And so I remember why was living in New York at the time. Like I vividly remember watching the film and thinking, what is this music? And I kind of joked a minute ago about if I listened to music with lyrics, which is very rare. I even back then I was very drawn to like, oh, this is sick. Like what? There's no words. It's just this vibe, you know?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so I looked into it, and God, I'm fucking old. Ordered their CD from whatever website I ordered it from. And so I ordered The Earth Is Not a Cold Dead Place, which is the second or third, I think third maybe, Explosions record. And I kind of went down the rabbit hole of post rock bands over the next decade or so, and I got into I love Mogwai, they're Scottish post rock band, and several others. But Hammock was brought to me way back in like 2012, or even earlier, probably maybe 2008 or something. Josh Portman, our bassist, had been a huge fan of them, and when he first showed it to me, thinking like, "Oh, you're going to be so into this because you love this kind of music," it just like didn't resonate. I don't know, it didn't stick, or I didn't listen to the right record first, or something. And then on the final tour in 2016 and early 17, Hammock had put out a record called Everything and Nothing, and I got so into it. And then I was like, I get it. And I started listening to, all their other records, and the music for me at that time, when I was really in a low place, stepping away from the band with not having any idea what the rest of my life was gonna hold professionally and just creatively, I was not doing well mentally, and that music was just exactly what I needed to help me stay focused. It's really brain food, their music. I mean, it's incredible for meditating and just relaxing, taking your mind off of whatever stress and anxiety and things in your life like that. And so fell in love with the band. I was sitting on the balcony in Australia, in Adelaide, listening to the record, and I was having a rough day, and I tweeted something like, I mentioned the band. I tweeted something like, Hammock's really pulling me through, and like screenshotted the record or something, and
Mhm.
I got a message on Twitter. I don't use X, I don't use it anymore, but at that time I got a DM from Mark Bird, who's one of the members of Hammock, just saying, thanks for the post, man, thanks for the love or whatever. And we started chatting and found out we both lived in Franklin, Tennessee.
Oh shit.
And let's grab coffee when I get home. This is when I get home meant like when I'm done with Yellowcard forever, because that was it. Australia was really the end. Australia, Japan was originally the end, and then we added those extra 10 shows in March. But at that time, it was like, yeah, I'm about to be home and like really be home. So let's get together. And we did, and we really had a lot in common, and got to be friends, and he helped compose and record some cello for one of the songs on my second EP that I put out on my own,
Okay.
a song called Downtown Up North.
Mhm.
And so, we had already kind of worked together in a creative space once before. And God, I don't know how to make this shorter than it is, but during the pandemic, I had an idea to reimagine a bunch of songs, Yellowcard songs. I was streaming and had like Patreon community going, and I was trying to provide content for people. And so I invited a bunch of friends from bands to come in and sing on stuff, and do these reimagined songs. Very similar to what the style that you end up hearing them, because you mentioned it kind of does live in like the Jetta,
Mhm.
Boomerang Key space of the way it sounds and the creative direction of it. So I was going to do that, and I thought, I'm going to ask Mark if Hammock would want to do one. I know that doesn't really fit in with Jordan from Newfound Glory, and whoever else coming in and doing this,
Yeah.
Nick from Pierce the Veil, all the different people I asked, but still could be really cool. So I asked Mark. He was like, yeah, that sounds cool. We'll check it out. What song did you have in mind? I was like, pick one. And so they listened to, I think they just went and listened to the most recent record, which was the final album, the self-titled album. And they picked Empty Street, which is so rad, because also full circle to this whole thing. I wrote that song about The lyrics of that song are kind of inspired by Friday Night Lights, the show, and Jason Street and his like story and his injury and like his life after injury and like kind of letting his past life go and all that, whatever.
Mhm.
So it's cool that Friday Night Lights sort of made their way back into like this post-rock experience in a way that, from that moment of going, what is this music? Watching the film. Now what would that be? 15 years prior. But so with everybody else, it was like they had to talk to their managers and their labels and see if there was like, was there going to be a fee that I'd have to pay to have them on the song? And it was just like, no, people were really pumped to do it, but it was taking forever and I wasn't
Sure.
getting anything recorded. Hammock just sent me a song. They were just like, here's Empty Street, done by Hammock. And I was like, it's one of my favorite tracks on A Hopeful Sign, which is now the album. They went back and added real drums to it and more strings and stuff. But at the time, the version they sent me, I was just blown away. I was like hearing one of your favorite bands, cover your song. It was surreal. And I thought, well, what if we just do a whole record together? And at the time it was going to be what a like diluted, weird concept, but it was going to be William Ryan Key and Hammock covering Yellowcard songs. It was like a lot of degrees removed from the original band. But I asked Mark about doing a whole record and he was like, maybe an EP. We have to see, obviously they're super busy with their own thing. But through 2021, I did do some more music, just like a piano and a vocal that I sent to them. And we were planning on doing a few songs together. And then Yellowcard picked up and Riot Fest was happening. And we decided to make Childhood Eyes the newest Yellowcard release. And while we were in pre-production writing for that, I brought the idea to the guys of doing a whole album with Hammock, played them what I had so far. Everyone was like, this is insane. What this music is amazing. Because Hammock they're amazing. And so I went back to Mark and I said, hey dude, this is getting real. Like we're signing a record deal. We're going to be, touring again. And how would you guys feel about really kind of leveling this up? But we got a little budget together for it. Could we make a real record? And they loved the idea, having a label behind it and all that stuff. So Equal Vision was super cool about supporting the release and getting behind it and helping us out financially a little bit with what the Hammock guys needed for production and mixing and all that kind of stuff. And one of my favorite things about the record is I didn't hear it mixed. Like we didn't make any notes. There was no part of the process was not us saying, what if you like turn this guitar up or we made no comments and we weren't going to, it wasn't like because we couldn't, we just said, let's do it this way. Let's let them make the record they want to make. And so they sent the record to us mixed and mastered and like hearing, your songs mixed and mastered in that way for the first time. We didn't get any rough mixes, nothing. It was just like, here's the album. And, it was surreal, man. It's like listening to a brand new Hammock album, which as a fan gets me really stoked because I'm first in line when Hammock has a new release coming out. But then I'm just singing on top of it, and I think it breathes crazy new life into the songs. Ocean Avenue becomes this like painful ballad instead of this like, uplifting summer anthem. There's some really deep cuts like Waiting Game and You and Me in One Spotlight on there. Just a really fun process and something that I think we're all really proud of and really honored that we got the chance to work with musicians as talented as Mark and Andrew.
For sure. Are there any songs that were recorded that didn't make the cut? Because
nope.
No,
okay. It was fun actually. We're doing the podcast here, but I'm also live streaming this on my Twitch channel right now. So I'm going to shamelessly plug myself. If you want to hang with me pretty much daily, I'm live on Twitch. Twitch.tv/William Ryan Key is my channel. But we chose the songs voting in chat on Twitch.
Oh, right on.
Cool.
So I would pick obviously I couldn't just be like, let's throw all however many 100 songs there are,
sure,
150 songs, whatever the number is. I would pick like 5 or 6. Some really obvious singles mixed in with like deep cuts and just be like, you guys go, which one out of these 5, which ones do you like?
Got you.
And we narrowed it down. And then I recorded the piano and the vocal live on stream, and sent that off to Mark and Andrew. So the songs were chosen and recorded and very deliberately.
That's awesome. The album is great too, just because it's not a rock record and it's just one of those nice records that you just could put on in the background, just like Jetta's music. I've done that before. I've actually grown to like this new Spotify playlist called Deep Focus. It's just like
Yep.
ambient noise with an acoustic guitar, and it's just it really does help me focus while I'm working or doing whatever. So I
Yep.
definitely understand where you're coming from when you don't really listen to music with words anymore, but or lyrics. But I do. I just want to say you guys nailed it on this record.
Well, thank you, Mark. Mark and Andrew nailed it. Really, I mean, I'm soaked on the vocal performances I delivered, but they did everything. I mean, it's like,
well,
it's
I mean,
just
there are your
amazing what they
songs
did.
too. So
Yeah,
Yeah. But
and
we had already nailed the songs before,
sure.
Yeah.
But
I
also
just
the
want, you know,
fans
it's just,
picking out the songs too. I mean, we got to give them
yeah.
credit as well.
Yeah, because I think we did really end up with a killer selection of songs.
I think you
My
did too.
my favorite song on the record is Transmission Home. I just love, or sorry, not trans. I love Transmission Home, but A Place We Set Afire from the self-titled album. That song, as it doesn't really like stand out to me in the catalog of all Yellowcard songs. But the Hammock production of it just, when the drums that come in later in the song and the vocal kind of just like ambient vocal melody that they added. And I love how the song kind of ends and then they bring it back in. That's just such a post-rock move to have the song sort of come in waves and movements, almost like in an orchestral sense,
For sure.
like how a symphony is written. I mean, that's a big part of that ambient rock music, is they'll come way up and then way back down and way up again. And so I love that they just added all that onto the end of the song. Like, we're not done yet, and it's just that melody they added. And I don't know, I love it. I could listen to that song, that version of that song, 1,000 times.
That's rad. I mean, yeah, it's a great album overall though. So I mean, like, you just keep it on and just it's easy to focus while that thing's on. So Ryan, you already told us there's no new music planned right now. So that was one of my questions.
Well, that's what he said anyway.
That's what he said.
That is real. That's real.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
We believe you.
We believe you. But
there's a difference in having plans and like wanting to do it. Like,
sure.
I think there's a general consensus that it would be cool if we could find the right way to do it. We just don't want to make music just to make it and it have to just disappear into the.
Sure. So what's it going to take? What's
it
going to take for that to happen? Is it just like you guys are going to have to be done touring and then maybe take a month, get together,
I think
hang out?
We have to write the right, song or two to like get it going where we feel like, okay, we're moving in the right direction sonically.
Got you.
And then we've been so happy during our time at Equal Vision Records, but does it need to be something a little bigger than that to have like the marketing and support, or is Equal Vision gonna come in and say we're good, we'll step it up, we'll make it happen for you, whatever you need kind of I mean, there's so much up in the air, because again, back to like being away from your family and stuff. I mean, it's different. Yeah. It's different for me now too. Making a record is a long and grueling process, a full-length album, and we would have to be away. Like we no matter what, and I guess I just sort of found my way to this point. We don't want to self-produce another album. We self-produced the self-titled album. We self-produced Childhood Eyes. We do not want to do that again. So having the budget and the right producer and all the things you need to make a full-length album, it's going to take us away from home for a month or more. When it's all said and done, it has to be the right thing. Back to kind of what I was talking about, how we're just very Explosions in the Sky reference, Clear Eyes, Full Hearts, making freaking decisions like, or sorry, that's a Friday Night Lights record reference. I mean, but making decisions like with very clear eyes, like we're like not gonna just do it to do it, because it just wouldn't serve a purpose if it doesn't make sense. So there's a lot up in the air as far as what would make sense for us to do another full length album. I'm confident we will figure it out, but we don't have anything right now that is like anywhere near concrete. So
doesn't mean you couldn't do a live album. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you are going on tour.
I mean, that would be cool. It'd be cool if we had recorded all of our shows last summer. Wink, wink.
Oh, okay.
But
there we go.
Same thing though. We don't want to, dude. Honestly, we did. We recorded all the songs. but I'm not, there's no spoiler here, nothing I'm hiding from you. We don't want to self-produce that shit. So no one's going to send me 30 show files from last summer and I'm going to sit here for 2 months, cleaning them up and I'm not doing that. So we just don't have anything planned. There's not, we're just focused on the summer right now on the tour.
Let's not even talk about new music. I would just love a live album first, for sure. I think that would tide us all over. Yeah, exactly.
We've never done one. I think that would be really cool. But someone's got to say, hey, we want to put that out, and we'll hire an engineer and someone to go through and.
Is anyone from Equal Vision in the chat? Because let's make this happen.
Let's make it happen.
Do it.
Okay, so let's say you do end up making a record, or maybe just one-off singles here and there. Collabs seem to be a big deal. Would there be anybody that you would want to collab with? If you could have one artist to collab with, who would you choose?
Man, one artist. I mean,
fine.
We got to collaborate with
answer
with
it how you will.
We got to collaborate with Pierce the Veil on Childhood Eyes, and that was amazing. Vic came out and sang with us in summer 2016. We did the Alternative Press Music Awards, and he came out, and that was kind of the first time we had ever really met in person. And it's funny because at that time when we met them, I had always thought that they were like a lot younger than us for some reason. And they're not. We're like we're almost the same age, and Vic and I stayed in touch and became pretty good friends. As friends in the music business who live in different states across the country can be. We became buds, and he, I had hit him up about. I think we really reconnected in 2020 when I reached out to him about doing this kind of reimagining of the songs. He was one of the artists that I talked to about doing that with, and then we really kind of stayed in touch. And when they put out their last record, which I'm really stoked for them because I think they got to do what we tried to do with a Lift to Sail. They got to make a record that was wildly different than anything they'd done before, and they leaned so hard into their like 90s kid roots.
Is that the Jaws of Life or whatever?
Yes,
is that the name
of
it? Okay.
And the record just hit. People just love it. Crushed their radio. They, and so I messaged him the day of the release and was just like, man, funny. I think I said something like, I don't ever listen to music with lyrics, but this record rips, so stoked for you. And so that led to us doing the EP together, or the song on the EP together. But I don't know, man. I mean, like, are you like moonshotting for, Dave Grohl or Chris Martin?
No, who I think would be really cool. And I bet you could actually get him because he is a fan of the scene. But Post Malone. I think he would sound really interesting with Yellowcard.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah,
he also
throwing it out there.
He plays Magic the Gathering, so we're down. We're cool. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's such a hard question because it's like it could be someone that I've like known my whole life as a music fan, or it could be someone current that like would help the band crush on a single or something. So I don't know. I think we got to write some songs that we are really excited about before we consider who might also be singing on them.
Makes sense. All right, Ryan, that's all I really have, man. We don't want to keep you too long. John, I don't know if you have anything that you want to ask that we didn't get to, that maybe I skipped over.
So. I want to know his favorite Radiohead album, but
probably the Bends.
Okay, that was going to be my guess.
Yeah. I do love all Radiohead. I'm not an old Radiohead or new. I'm not like the Kid A line in the sand. I don't really.
Sure.
It's all amazing to me, but the songwriting on the Bends is just pretty unparalleled.
Oh, one thing I wanted to ask: have you been blacking out your tattoos or just blacking out your arm?
Yeah, I covered my
sleeve.
You guys, you can't see it.
I can't see it. I wanted to see it live, but I've seen the Instagram before, and one dude, super, super sweet. How long did that take? And it's gotta hurt, right? I've never had any tattoos, so I don't know.
Well, so here's the point of the story. People are like, asking me about this tattoo. I'm like, well, the moral of this tattoo is don't get tattoos. Because
so you're covering stuff up.
My whole left sleeve is gone.
Okay.
It's covered.
Got it.
Because it was just like there was no color left in it. It was faded. Like my shoulder was terrible from just all the sun on it.
Sure.
Now I've got, coconut oil and sunscreen, and I don't go outside without. It's like I'm taking really good care of this now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started to just see the white on black kind of trend in tattooing,
Uh-huh.
and I thought it was really amazing, and it's the only way to truly cover up your old tattoo is to just cover it in
Yeah.
black ink, and so I thought if I'm going to commit to this, I love the style of this, and I found two different artists that are really really killing it in the space of doing white on black tattooing, and so the artist that did the blackout for me, his name is Hoodie, and his Instagram's HOODE215. All he does is black work. That's it. And
Oh
so it
wow.
was 2 sessions, top and bottom, full saturation, covered, nothing. Like it was not a multiple sitting process. It's crazy. I thought it was going to take forever and be the worst, like, 10
Yeah.
sessions of black work. It's all gone in one sitting. It's crazy.
That's
Um,
one sitting. Holy
so I did
cow.
like 5 hours top, 5 hours bottom, or 4 hours top, 4 hours bottom, something like that. And it sucked, but all tattoos suck.
Sure.
It's no tattoo is like, no, that one was so fun. Um,
Was it
so once
sitting
I
up
had the
or laying down or?
I mean a little bit of both, depending on like
Okay.
where he was on my arm, but
I imagine
that
under
the
here's got to be the
yeah, it sucks.
worst.
It sucks. The thing about the black work though is using a really, really wide gauge needle.
Uh,
So you're covering a lot of territory with each
yeah.
pass, and so it's not quite as actually as gnarly as like getting in and filling little spaces and doing line
Mhm.
work and stuff, which just
Yeah.
takes forever and ever. Um, so when it healed up, I lived with it kind of just being solid blacked out for a while, and I saw a post from an artist in Denver who is named Clinton Lee. His Instagram is Clinton Lee Tattoos, and he was starting on a white on black sleeve, and he does like floral, ornamental, really traditional kind of
Yeah.
tattooing. And kind of my whole point of doing this was I wanted to just like, if I'm gonna have a tattoo, I didn't want it to be a bunch of random shit anymore. I wanted kind of a work of art that like the artists would be proud of, as like one full piece.
Yeah.
And so I got in with Clint, and we're through like 3 passes of white ink. But it is something that if you can, you want to keep going back and doing more and more of the white ink because it just
Okay.
pops more every time.
Sure. Just
And
building on
so
top of it.
yeah, so I've got, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 sessions left to go before I would say I'm like
Got you.
done forever.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it looks sweet. I mean, well done.
Thank you, sir.
Or at least finding those guys. So well done to those guys.
Yeah.
John, you have a tattoo.
Yeah, but I'm keeping it.
You're not gonna black it out. You should
I don't
share
think
it.
that's
You should
necessary.
you should share where
Well,
it's at and what it is.
I have a Simpsons character tattooed on my right buttock.
Nice. Was this
Mhm.
like just walking down the strip in Vegas and you ducked into a shop? Or was it
No,
a
I
bet, or
almost
was
I did have a Vegas trip after that, and I was gonna let my buddies pick whatever they wanted, and I was gonna do it on the other cheek, but thankfully, never happened. No, it was just somebody dared me when I was 18 that I wouldn't do it, so I just went and did it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That tracks.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, I didn't get
Yep.
dared, but I had a lot of like 18 to 21-year-old tattoos that I was
Yeah,
like,
for
what is that? You can't even see it anymore. It's all just a blob of ink,
Yeah, I forget it's there. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
that couldn't
remember.
have been very fun to heal up.
It wasn't that bad.
Okay.
It's just like 3 or 4 colors. It's pretty simple. I mean, the animation
Man,
on The Simpsons isn't, too
it's true.
intense. So
When you look at black work and like the black work trend, and you see people who are just doing like bodysuits and shit, I'm
Yeah.
just like, dude, how do you sit or sleep or
Mhm.
to heal any of that?
Well,
Like,
isn't
I mean,
like MGK doing that to himself right now?
probably.
I think
Sure.
so.
But like healing a tattoo is a pretty intense process, and so I'm also covering and redoing all of my tattoos on my right arm as well, because they're just kind of old and fading, and I've become friends with one of the guys who does like kind of, I call it like Comic-Con style tattooing, Star Wars and Marvel and DC and everything. He's just incredible color portrait, realism style artist. So anyways, his name is Paul Marino, and his Instagram is Paul Marino Tattoo. So I'm doing my right arm, and when I do like the single pieces, like here's Luke Skywalker's face, you can put that like taxiderm, or like the second skin kind of stuff over that, and it seals it up, and you peel it off 5 days later, and it never scabbed, nothing. It's just healed. It's amazing.
Nice.
Wish I would have had that back in the day, but when you do the huge amounts of black work, you can't do that because it's just too much ink like pouring out of your arm all this. So you have to do the traditional kind of like, just saran wrap and tape and Aquaphor and let it heal up. And it's terrible. It's just sludging off of you. I had to wrap my arm in towels and sheets every night. It was awful. But I'm thinking like, dude, if I did my whole back or like both of my ass cheeks solid black, you can't sit down. If you sit down, you're gonna fuck up the tattoo. Like it's not gonna.
Right,
heal
I'm not gonna do it now.
I
was
just
thinking about it,
I
but-
don't know.
Just blacking out
dude,
both
I'm
ass
not telling you
cheeks.
how to live your life. You can sleep on your stomach. I
true.
just
That's true.
can't.
I'm more of
I
a
can't
side
imagine.
sleeper, right?
I can't imagine healing that much stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, moral of the story is, John, don't get
Yeah.
tattooed.
All right.
Yeah, think
Well,
before you do it.
I'm glad I
Think a little
chose
bit longer.
the right path. I
And
think
nobody
this is...
ever guesses which Simpsons character it is on the first guess either. So
Oh yeah, go ahead, Ryan. Take a guess.
Mm.
What Simpsons character do you think is on John's? Is it right butt cheek?
I want it to be Marge.
cheek.
I want just like big blue hair, like all the way up your ass
Nope,
cheek.
nope. It's
Okay.
not a. I wouldn't call it a major character.
Then
And
who is it?
It's a youth.
Who is it?
Ralph Wiggum.
Oh, it tastes like burning.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
That was pretty good.
Thanks.
Super
Yeah.
Nintendo Chalmers. Yeah.
It's and Ralph Wiggum's picking his nose, right?
Yep. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's right.
Well, we're this is I don't think you can show full ass cheek on Twitch, so
That's okay. They can just
unfortunately,
imagine.
sorry, chat.
Join
I
John's
wish it was a tramp
OnlyFans.
stamp so I could show them, but it's just not.
Tramp stamp. That'd be awesome. All right, Ryan. I think this is a good place to end it. Is there anything that we didn't hit on that maybe we should know about? Anything like that?
We didn't get like super into it, and it's fine. I'm gonna run and pick up my kiddo here in a minute, but we're touring with Third Eye Blind this summer, so you can go to you know what? A friend of mine who takes care of all of our social media and does an amazing job. She's gonna kill me because I'm like, what is our website right now? I think it's yellowcardband.com now. It used to be yellowcardrock.com, but I think it's yellowcardband.
It's yellowcardband.com.
Yeah, yellowcardband.com. Yes.
All right.
That's so like that's what was available. So it's like my first website.com,
Yeah.
Yellowcardband.com.
Yellowcard.geocities.com.
Yes, head there. And there's shows tab and come out and see us this summer because like I said, we're supporting Third Eye Blind, so we're gonna need you to get out to the shows earlier, so there's some butts in seats for us, and also we're gonna be playing some deep cuts. The set list is wild. Big shout out to everyone in Yellowcard for indulging me in this idea to play all of our 90s songs on tour.
Absolutely. Let's go.
So we're really pumped for the summer. I think the shows are gonna be amazing, and I get to watch Third Eye Blind every night, which is surreal to me.
Yeah, so. Lucky you. John, it looks like they're coming to Maryland Heights on June 29th. So we should hit that up.
Yes.
If you don't got anything.
We'll see you there.
Yep, we'll be there.
Hit up the casino afterward.
Oh boy. All right, we'll do it.
Oh, win that ticket money back,
Oh, that's true.
Win that tattoo money back. Is what
free ride, yeah.
All right, Ryan, again, thanks, man, for having us do this. It really was a blast. It's always a pleasure talking with you and, getting the backstories behind the things. It's always interesting.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank
cheers.
you.
Sorry, my camera was off and I'm just the Wizard of Oz this whole interview, but
no, it's all good.
I just thought it was a close-up of the tattoo.
Yeah, the whole time.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
See you guys.